Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is mindset, and the title is Don't Fear the Shadow. Okay, so I know there's like that old song, Don't Fear the Reaper, but this one's a little bit different. So let's think about this. A little context to put the title it more clearly is, think about if we're walking around on a sunny day. So maybe you're going for a walk in the park, or walking around with some loved ones, or taking a dog for a walk. And on bright sunshiny day, you look to your right, and there's your shadow. Okay, and you can even maybe see the shadow of the dog. So often our shadows, when we look at them, depending on the angle of the sun and everything, the shadow is sometimes like short and stumpy. Sometimes it's long and tall. So the shadow can kind of take many different shapes and sizes. And sometimes that shadow can be actually significantly larger than we actually are. So if we were to measure our height and say we're, anywhere from like 5 foot to 6 foot tall, but then you kind of like would measure your shadow on the ground, and it might be like 8 or 9 or even 10 foot long. So often the shadow that we cast is bigger than ourselves. Okay? We can think of this the same thing as like if we're making like shadow puppets on the wall. So you can use a flashlight, shine at your hand and make like a bunny, make like a crocodile, make whatever the heck else, I don't know, whatever animals there are. But it shines up on the wall, and the image on the wall is way, way, way larger than your hand, but your hand is the thing that created the shadow. So again, the shadow is larger. Okay? So, let's give you one more annoying scenario, as if you don't already know what I'm talking about. So, let's say we're laying in bed, we look out the window, and there's this flashing kind of like darkness that kind of comes across the window. And we're like, oh my gosh, who's outside? You freak out. The dog's barking out the window. You're yelling at the dog to shut up. Well, you're also freaking out as well. And you find out, once you look out the window, that it's just like a leaf on a tree. So, some street light across the road is shining on that leaf, and the leaf is casting the shadow all across your window. So often the shadow of things can be much larger than the actual thing. Now, we're going to take that theme, and we're going to carry it over, and say that often our the things that we don't want to do in life, the things that are good for us, but we don't want to do them. So maybe it's exercise, maybe it's nutrition, maybe it's trying to rekindle a friendship or a relationship with a loved one, family, friend member, something like that. It could be trying to do a big new project at work, just anything. Maybe you're trying to take a big project at the house, so you're making upgrades or whatnot. And often that thing that we kind of want to do, or we know we should do, but we don't really want to do it, or we're afraid of doing it, we kind of have all these doubts and fears that often are much larger than what the actual, like, real kind of like negatives or the real obstacles to that thing actually are. Okay? So we live our lives with this fear of these blown up fears of these small little things. So for example, I had somebody who I know in my personal life. They will remain nameless because I'm about to pick on them. But they had heard me talk before about the concept of working out is just getting in what you can. Even if it's just a 10-minute workout, you just do 10 minutes that gets in something for the day, and that gives you one step closer to being physically healthier. Now, this person said, 10-minute workout my ass. And their way of thinking it is, well, if I want to work out, I'm probably going to have to change clothes. So there's a couple minutes. Then while I'm working out, I'm probably going to get sweaty. I'm probably going to have to like wash off, maybe even take a shower. And then I'll have to get clothes again to change the new clothes. So that quote-unquote 10-minute workout is really going to be like 30 minutes. That was their response to my 10-minute workout, which is absolutely freaking hilarious, and for many reasons. Number one, how long does it take you to change clothes? So I could take off shorts and a shirt, put on shorts and a shirt, in pretty quick, probably under a minute. So I'm not sure what their process is. I'm not sure if they're knitting their own shirt. But it doesn't take that long to change clothes. And I laughingly say this in a loving way, if they're actually listening to this, is they're so out of shape that there's no way they're going to work out hard enough to get sweaty. Okay? So they're... Now if they hear this, they're probably thinking I'm a big fat jerk. But it's true, they're not that physically conditioned to where, like, at most, they're going to crank out maybe a few push-ups, a couple bodyweight squats, just kind of a couple little small things. They're not going to be able to do, like, some astronomical, amazing, like, gladiator, CrossFit, nutcase workout where they're going to be pouring buckets of sweat. So this person is going to be breathing really hard. Their face is going to be really red. Their chest might hurt because they're breathing so hard, but they're not going to sweat. So they're not going to do enough in 10 minutes to get super sweaty. And nothing that, like, just taking a wet washcloth and wiping yourself down couldn't fix. So doing kind of like a hobo shower. So you just use a wet washcloth, wipe down, and you're good to go. And then again, if you change clothes, it takes 1 minute. So my 10-minute workout is true. There might be an additional 5 minutes. You have 1 minute to change clothes, maybe 2 to 3 minutes to wet the washcloth and wipe yourself down, and 1 minute to change clothes after the workout. So you have a 10-minute workout surrounded by 5 minutes, where it's 1 minute of prep, 4 minutes of kind of like gathering yourself afterwards. So yes, so maybe a 10-minute workout is really going to take 15 minutes. But I don't think that extra 5 minutes is really going to make or break your day to the point where you're like, you know what, I just don't have time for that 10-minute workout because it's actually going to take me 15 minutes, and there's no way I have 15 minutes. I would have had time for 10 minutes, but I cannot swing 15 minutes in my day to do a workout. So clearly that's a little ridiculous, right? So they had casted the shadow of this 10-minute workout to be some elaborate, horrible process that they were going to say was going to take like 30 minutes. So they were joking-ish, but they were also still using that joke as an excuse to not do it. So as much as it was a joke, it was actually their real excuse. So sometimes we're afraid for people to make fun of us of what our excuses are, so we present them as jokes. And that way, we think, they're not going to, they're going to laugh and everybody's going to blow this off a little bit, but man, really, that is the case, So they'll kind of like really lean into their excuse when no one's listening or no one's looking. And so it's good to kind of point out that, yes, a 10-minute workout will really take 15 minutes. But for the love of God, if you can't spend 15 minutes on your own health, you've got some problems. So you have some scheduling conflicts, you have some personal choice conflicts. So if you can't swing 15 minutes to take care of your own body, you got to change your priorities. You got to change your thinking process. Okay? Now, to turn the tables back on me, okay, to pick on myself, so that way I am still a jerk, but at least I'm a jerk to myself as well, is I hate cleaning out my car. I've talked about this before. Is my car, there's not like live animals in there, or like, like a tree growing in the back seat from all the debris and dirt. It's not that bad, but it is absolutely not like stellarly clean. So if I were to try to like pick up a date in the car, I would definitely want to clean it up a little bit before they got in. So that is the thing that I hate doing, and that's the thing that like every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like I'm gonna have to get the vacuum out. I'm gonna have to like wipe stuff down. So I'm gonna have to like do things to make a difference to that thing. Yes, that's true. So, but part of that is I've put it off for so long that it actually has become a big task. So if I were to think of trying to clean my car in one go of effort, well, yes, that is going to take a long time. That is actually kind of laborsome. That is going to take some effort. But that was my own doing. So I was afraid of that shadow for so long that the actual task was growing and growing and growing while I was staring at the shadow. So I kind of like lost sight of how long I was putting it off. And then also, just because it is a big project doesn't mean I can't piece it out. So maybe one day I can vacuum stuff. Maybe the next day I can wipe down the dash. Maybe the next day I can try to wipe down the doors and like whatever the hell else you wipe down in the car. So you can break it into pieces and chunks. So that way it's not so overwhelming as it may seem when you're looking at it as one piece. So if I look at it as I have to clean my car, yeah, that's going to be freaking awful. It's going to look like it's going to take me like 2 hours, and I don't want to do any of it. So I don't even want to do 2 minutes, let alone 2 hours. But if instead of looking at it as a whole, say, oh, I have to clean my car, I can just look at it as in, well, if I just vacuum today, that's good enough. Well, that's much more doable. The shadow of that job or that piece doesn't seem as large. So that seems more doable, more accomplishable. So yeah, I'm not going to like it, but at least it's not so long. It's a kind of a quick in and out of discomfort and uninterest. So, but that's true, is often the longer we put things off, the larger that thing grows. And also then so does our cast of our shadow or our fear or our thoughts of how long it's going to take us to do that thing. So think about your own health. If you've been putting off your health for a while and you're listening to this and you're kind of like just starting back into healthy living and you haven't been paying attention to your healthy living for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, yes, that is going to seem very daunting. That's going to seem like a really big thing. So when you say, like, look at where you are now and look at where, like, your dream end goal would be, that is a big-ass distance. That's a lot of work in between there. So what you can do is two things. Attack it as soon as possible. The longer you wait, the bigger it'll grow. Okay? So the longer you put things off, the more time they have to fester and grow. If you attack it now, you will get it at the smallest it's ever going to be from here on. True, it may have been smaller last week, last month, last year. But you don't get to go back last week, last month, last year. You have today. You have right now. If you attack it right now, you will keep it as small as it will ever be. It is only going to grow and get worse and get harder if you do not start today. Okay? So you need to attack what it is that you know needs done. You need to attack it today. Attack it while it's small, or at least while it's not any damn bigger. Okay? For you pessimists out there. So, but attack it now, be responsible, okay? Take charge, and attack it now. Next thing you could do is to break it into sections. Break it off into pieces, okay? Separate it out into multiple tasks. So if we think of a single workout, like maybe we're doing an exercise, if I told you I want you to do one set of 60 reps or 3 sets of 20 reps, you're going to look at that and be one set of 60, and be like, crap, I don't know if I can do 60 reps of that. But if I told you to do 3 sets of 20, you're still going to get to 60 reps. But that does seem easier, because maybe you get to take a little bit of break in between those sets. Just like how I might want to clean my car, and if I tried to vacuum it, wipe it down, and do whatever the hell else people do to their cars. So if I try to do those 3 things, those categories, vacuum, wipe it down, and whatever else. So if I try to do them all right now, that's like trying to do all 3 sets of 20 reps and trying to blitz at 60 reps all in one go. That's going to be miserable. It's not going to feel very fun. I'm probably capable of it, but I won't like doing it. And something like cleaning out the car is something that comes up over and over and over again. So it's not like I can just dive in, do it once, and be done with it. And the same is true of your health. Okay? So if you dive into understanding a new diet or dive into a new training routine, you don't get to just do that for 2 months and then never again. So too often that's the way diets are presented, and they're presented incorrectly. Where it's like, oh, okay, lose 30 pounds in 30 days. Okay, but what are you going to do for the next 30 years? Okay? So you have to find diets that promote lifestyle changes, where you change your daily thinking and daily habits around food. If you do something that's temporary, but doesn't change your current behaviors that made you overweight, as soon as you stop that temporary thing, no matter how much weight you lost, you will start gaining weight again. Because the habits you're going to revert back to were the same habits that made you overweight in the first place. So sure, you might lose 30 pounds in 30 days. But maybe in the next 30 days, you're going to gain those 30 pounds right back. So when we look at fat loss or weight loss, or we look at health, we want to have an effect, but we want to keep that effect for the rest of our lives, right? Well, then we have to make changes that affect what we do every day for the rest of our life. If we only make temporary changes to get temporary results, they'll only stay around temporarily. So we have to look at the bigger picture. Okay? So like we said, you have to attack it now. Attack it while it's small. You can break it into pieces. That way it's actually manageable. So if you have a goal of losing 30 pounds, what are you going to do to lose the first 10 pounds? What are you going to do to lose the next 10 pounds? And then what are you going to do to lose the final 10 pounds? Break it into pieces. That's going to make it much more manageable. Okay? So we talk about this with anxiety as well. If somebody's stressed out about a big thing coming up in their life, Well, you can't do anything about tomorrow. You can only do today. So don't think of the next, couple days or the next week or the next month in one chunk. Think of what can I do today that'll take me one step closer. And that's all you focus on. You narrow your focus when you have anxiety. Narrow your focus to the minimalist things that you have to deal with. That's going to give you the best chance. Okay? Same thing is true when we're trying to overcome the fear of the shadow. You have to break it in, narrow down to the most individual thing that you can do in this moment, in this day. Okay? That's going to help you take one step closer to addressing it. And if every day you take a step, eventually you will reach that finish line. So that's our goals. So that's how we kind of get over the fear of the shadow of something. Is you want to be proactive rather than procrastination. Okay, so we say proactive rather than reactive. It's true, but often we know something is coming. Okay, and we're just putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So if we just be proactive and we attack it right now, things will go a lot better. So I think of this too as in like people in the morning. So everybody always wakes up at the last freaking minute when the alarm goes off. Maybe you lay back down, you kind of like close your eyes for a little bit, and you kind of fade off to sleep for 5 or 10 minutes. You kind of like wake up and you're like, oh crap. And then you look at your phone and you're like, oh shit, I'm like 10 minutes behind. And then all of a sudden, instant urgent panic. And now finally you're up out of bed, you're moving, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're getting through your daily routine, bam, you're out the door, and boom, you're just to work on time. Right on time. Well, that's a pretty horrible, reactive, stressful way to start your day. Okay, it got it started. So you basically put yourself to where your back was against the wall. And you had no choice but to react. That is reactive. Proactive is setting that alarm 5 to 10 minutes earlier. So you can go at a little more calmer pace. Keep your cortisol and stress levels down. That way you don't skip breakfast. That way you don't skip maybe having a 2 or 3 minute chat with a spouse or like a family member. So where you just kind of have that nice casual while you're putting on your shoes or socks. And you just say, hey, what's your plans for the day? Or how's your day going to go? Just kind of talk like, how'd you sleep last night? You can have time for those little talks. So just being 5 or 10 minutes proactive can really ease the stress of a morning. Okay? So we all do it in various ways. So the person I was picking on was fearing the shadow of a 10-minute workout, and they made it some elaborate bullcrap thing that was going to take them 30 minutes. So I have the shadow of cleaning out my car, and I'm making it some elaborate bullcrap thing of like not wanting to do it because I think it's going to take me hours and hours and hours. So we all have things we do, whether they're as small and as simple as sleeping into the last minute, or if there was something larger that we're procrastinating on, like our overall health. Oh, I will get to it this time, or I'll get to it when this happens. I'll get to it at this time. We always have these kind of excuses and these future things, these future dates, these future markers when we're actually going to address it. We never do that. We just wait till some like absolute finite thing kicks us in the pants, and now we have to be reactive. And often in that hurried rush, we don't do as well, or we've waited so long that now it's an seemingly insurmountable task, and it ends up being a lot harder than it should have been or could have been. Okay? So that's our goal. When we look at things we know we should do, but we're just not doing them because we're over-exaggerating what the obstacle is going to be. That's the shadow, okay? So don't make the shadow any bigger than what it really is. So don't fear the shadow. So attack the thing you have to do right now, while it's small. Break it into sections if you need to make it more manageable, have lower anxiety towards it, okay? That way you can get that first step started, okay? So get into pieces, just do the one first piece, okay? So that's our goal. So proactive rather than procrastination. Keep it small, piece it out, attack it rather than react. Don't fear the shadow. Okay, take charge. Do what you know you should do today before it becomes too late. Okay? Today, you're going to come upon a today that there won't be a tomorrow. Okay? So our some days and our tomorrows turn into today, and then they turn into too late. So don't wait until it's too late to live your healthiest, happiest life. Okay? Work on it right now. Cool. So hopefully this was helpful. maybe a little bit of an eye-opener for some, hopefully, but some good food for thought. So if you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Brutal Iron Gym. Also, if you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends. So the more people we help, the happier the world will be. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we would love to hear from you. So the podcast is for you, so we know what you want to learn about. You can reach us at our email, brutalironGym@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.